Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Health Made Simple Show. I am your host, Dr. Bart, and today's special episode. And what makes today special is that we are in a new, I'm not going to call this my studio, but a new environment of shooting the Health Made Simple Show. Today I'm at the farm. So in the event, it sounds like you hear chickens or birds or dogs in the background. It is because there are chickens, dogs, and birds in the background. Anyways, hopefully, and if you're watching the video, you get an opportunity to see some of my, behind me, there's a beautiful big open field and then a lake beyond that. It's part of our farm here. Anyways, got a great topic here today. And the topic we're going to talk about is just something that comes up in clinic all the time. And it is, Doc, why am I experiencing hunger after meals? And why am I tired after meals? So we're going to do a deep dive into these, and there's really three things behind this. And as I roll through this, I want you to keep in the back of your mind, in case you only catch part of this, which I know you won't, is that there's a good chance that your liver is involved, also your body's ability to regulate sugar. So most likely, if you're tired after meals or you're becoming dysregulated after meals, meaning your energy's dropping down, or you even become hungry, there's a good chance something called insulin resistance is setting in. So we'll dive into those. Again, so welcome to the Health Made Simple Show. Keep doing your thing. Keep sharing it out. Keep spreading love. We appreciate all the sharing that you've done up to this point, so keep doing your thing. All right, so let's dive into kind of the number one reason. Well, these are really no particular order, but we'll tackle them in what I think would be appropriate order. So first one is, when we eat, no doubt we are increasing the amount of blood that is going to go into our stomach. And a lot of that blood is going to be delivered via the liver. So we eat food, and to digest our food, we need a whole bunch of different enzymes and nutrients and oxygen to do so. And this is why growing up, we were told, hey, listen, if you eat lunch, you got to wait a little while before you go swimming, because all your blood is hanging out in your stomach, and there's some truth to this. So for that reason, we often can get a little fatigued. Now, it's often overblown because of some of the other things wrapped around it. Should we be able to eat and then go out and do whatever we want? We should be able to exercise, we should be able to swim, we should be able to enjoy whatever we want after we eat. And if we can't because we are getting too tired, that raises a little bit of red flag. So in the event that that's happening to you, that you get this big surge of blood and you're getting tired, the primary driver behind that is your liver. And really what I mean by driver is that your liver is becoming too congested, and it's becoming overloaded, chronically overloaded with toxins, and it doesn't have enough flow, doesn't have enough enzymes to supply your body with to appropriately break down your foods. And that is what will begin the process of us becoming tired after meals. Clinically, I've seen some people that come in, they tell me that they pass out after meals, and this is a result. And it's not the food. Often we think of the food, and it can contribute, definitely, especially if it's causing inflammation, if gluten and foods that are pro-inflammatory. Yet a lot of the times, this is because chronically we have overburdened the liver, meaning that we have put too many toxins in the liver, and then when it has to overwork, or it has to really go to work, like right here, right now, like when we eat, can't handle that, and you see the body start to break down or really kind of shut down. And that's one of the biggest causes of that post-meal fatigue, where we literally just shut down. But there's many reasons for this. That's just number one. So again, and what do you do about the liver? There's a lot of things we do. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you clean up and get rid of the foods we know are pro-inflammatory. That's the gluten, that's the dairy. Those things got to go. We've got to reduce the amount of alcohol that we're drinking. And I'll tell you one, we probably don't talk about it enough because we thought we were kind of done with it, and that's the high fructose corn syrup. Folks, it's still everywhere. You got to look out for it. That and canola oil, probably two of the most destructive component. I don't even want to call them foods, things that you're going to put into your body that really can disrupt metabolic function in the human body. All right, so that's number one. It's the blood flow, the increased amount of blood flow. And when you have all that blood going to the stomach, remember, the blood's being taken away, so you don't have it in your extremities. So your shoulders are a little tired, your arms are tired, your legs are tired, so you have a little bit of other parts of your body have a little bit of fatigue because the blood is circulating to your stomach. And again, if that's excessive, that's not okay. All right, number two is, this is probably one of the most common reasons I see this, and probably most of you that are listening, if you have fatigue after meals, it's really what we call the food coma, and that's driven by way too many carbohydrates and or toxic foods. So the carbohydrates, as you all know, all convert to sugar, and if we're eating things like bread and pasta and potato chips and French fries, a lot of those actually convert the sugar into the bloodstream. They get there faster than sugar does, which is quite fascinating. So if that overload happens, we know once the sugar gets into the bloodstream, your body releases insulin. It's a protective mechanism to get sugar out of the blood, and then it drops the blood sugar levels, and there goes your energy. That's why we become tired right away. Now, a tricky thing happens. For some of you, say, I don't get tired after I eat, but you get hungry. An hour later, 45 minutes later, 2 hours later, after a big meal, you find yourself still hungry. It's really the same thing that's taking place. As that blood sugar drops, your body's saying, hey, I need to eat again. I need to get my blood sugar up. And then what do? We go home, we go out to eat. We have this big, heavy meal. There's canola oil in it, there's pasta, maybe there's some potatoes. We're kind of living a life, and we're being a little lavish. We're eating all this kind of food, and we're overeating a little bit, and there's more chemicals in there than we know it. Then we get home an hour and a half later, and we're still hungry. Next thing you know, we're opening up the fridge door, and I think everyone listening, you've done this. I've done it. You open up the fridge door, and you're still looking for nutrients. You're still looking for food. And that's as a result of that blood sugar starts to drop. At least this is one of the reasons. And this is the one I want everyone to pay attention to. There's a reason everyone that comes to our office, every client that we have, what we run labs for, we run very specific labs trying to determine whether or not they have insulin resistance or they are on the way to developing this insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is at the cornerstone. It is a cornerstone of all of the chronic diseases out there: heart disease, diabetes type 2, cancers, the neurodegenerative diseases, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all of those dementias. All of those have one thing in common. It's called insulin resistance. And we can test for this. Shamefully, we don't test for it enough in our country. In fact, I don't know anyone else that brings in their labs to me. A lot of people bring their labs to me, which I'm perfectly comfortable with. If you have labs, you want me to review them, I'll be happy to do so. Yet we rarely see this tested, and yet it indicates for us what's coming. And there's some other markers that we use. Literally, there's an insulin resistant marker, and this lets us know if you become insulin resistant, meaning that your body is no longer responding to the proper level, responding properly to the normal levels of insulin. And this is what leads to all these chronic diseases down the road. And this is something, when someone tells me that they're always hungry after meals, so they're always looking for that snack, that sweet something, an hour or two later, a little red flag goes up, and it reminds us that there's a good chance, even for my healthy folks out there that are trying to do things better and better, there's a good chance that you have already or are developing, either already or you are developing, on your way to developing insulin resistance. We can also look at your labs, so like on your lipid panels, if you run your cholesterol panels, which we run as well. We can also look at those and pay close attention to things like your triglycerides to your HDL ratio. If those triglycerides are much higher than HDL, it's another indication that you are probably developing, if not already developed, insulin resistance. So insulin resistance is a reason why you might end up tired and or hungry, even though you've just eaten plenty of food, plenty of calories for your body, but you still find yourself hungry and or tired. All right, we're going to roll on here to the third reason. And this I see happening more and more chronically. And what that is that it's a lack of nutrients that is taking place, a lack of nutrient balance. There's two reasons for this. One's the obvious. We're not putting the nutrients in. So if you go out and you have a big carbohydrate meal, you're eating out, or maybe you're even at home, a bowl of cereal, listen, there's no nutrients in that, folks. There's no nutrients in bread. There's no nutrients in pasta. They're all nutrient deficient. In fact, many of those have what's called phytates, and those phytates are anti-nutrients. They literally are taking nutrients out of our body. So after you eat them, especially a big bowl here or there, when we get done, you go home and, man, I'm hungry. And that's your body's way of signaling you, saying, listen, I know you just ate, but we don't have the nutrients we need to be a strong human being. Meaning we don't have the nutrients to recover from today's workout. We don't have the nutrients you need to keep up the stress that you have today. We don't have the nutrients, the enzymes we need to help detox the liver. So one of the reasons, and I've given you a couple here today, but one of the reasons, and I see this more and more, that we're getting tired after meals and we're still getting hungry after meals is that we have a lack of nutrients coming in. The second part of this, so it could be the blatantly obvious, you just literally aren't putting enough nutrients in your body. And I can take this in many ways, and I won't spend too much time on it, but I will tell you this. Even for those of you who are out there like myself who are eating clean, so you're putting 99% of what you do is you put clean, organic food in your body. one of the challenges out there is that our soil is deficient in nutrients. And this is why it becomes more and more obvious, quite frankly, folks, that there is a need, not just a want, but a need for many of us, or probably all of us, to be doing some level of supplementation where we're getting in the nutrients that we're lacking. The soils are absolutely void. So you can go to the grocery store right now and get organic produce, spinach, kale, cucumbers, whatever it may be. And those are grown on farms that have been used over and over and over again. And their topsoil will be between 0 and 3 inches, meaning that there's no nutrients left relative to what those if they had an organic farmer or regenerative farming is taking place there. So the nutrient profile in our food today is significantly deficient. So that's one reason. The other reason that I think I see equally as much is the inability to bring these nutrients into our body so our body can then utilize them. And what does that really mean? So I'm talking about the ability to break them down and digest them. That's a big challenge. So if you can't digest your food properly, you can't digest your animal proteins, you can't digest your red meat, you can't break down the fiber, you can't get rid of the insoluble fibers, then now we have a problem. We have a problem, and we're going to become nutrient deficiency. We're malnutrition as a result of the inability to break your food down. Typically, I see this for two reasons. One, the overarching reason is that most people, especially as we age, we become deficient in something called hydrochloric acid. That's an acid that's in your stomach that literally breaks down your food. And if you don't have enough of that acid, it's going to be hard to break down a lot of the more important foods that we have out there, like animal proteins. They're difficult to break down. You have to have enough hydrochloric acid in order to do so. So a lot of people are deficient in hydrochloric acid. How does this happen? Heck, if you're on any type of antacid, you're on a Prilosec or Tums or Rolaids, any of that stuff will make you deficient in your hydrochloric acid, which means that you're not going to absorb many of the very, very important, very, very critical nutrients that you need to be a strong human being. So the tendency will be to either be fatigued day to day because you're nutrient deficient, or the need to always be eating carbohydrates and sugar to get that little pop of energy. So again, that's a relatively easy fix. You start taking some hydrochloric acid. We use something called zapped in the office, a lot of good ones out there. And then you'll take that with every meal. And that gives you an opportunity to break your food down better so you can assimilate and absorb your nutrients a little bit better. All right, so those are three reasons, and you look at those, and most likely there's a combination of all three taking place if you find yourself tired and or hungry after meals. And we see this very, very consistently. It's also the reason why elimination diets work so good, because when we eliminate a bunch of junk, no matter which one it is you're on, but if you eliminate a whole bunch of junk that's creating inflammation in your body, you get to improve the function of the liver. You typically are eliminating bad foods like carbohydrates and sugar, and then you get down the inflammation, you balance out the blood sugar level, and you become a little bit better at processing your nutrients. All right, a little recap here for you. 3 reasons why you might be tired and why you might be hungry after a meal. And number 1 is that all the blood flow is going to your stomach. And if you find that you're significantly tired, a little tired is okay, but if you're significantly tired, most likely there's congestion in your liver, and you got to get a little clearing out. We got to get phase 1, 2, and 3 cleared out a little bit better. The second reason is that we have carbohydrate or sugar overload. When we spike up the blood sugar levels, we release a lot of insulin. Most likely it's indicative that you're starting to develop something called insulin resistance. And make sure you get with your provider. Again, this is something we test not on some people, everybody. Everyone in our country specifically is very, very vulnerable to this. This is why we have so many chronic diseases. It's a very easy lab test, but make sure that you're getting tested so you know your status on it, because it's easy to change once you know where it is. And last but not least, one of the reasons that we have hunger and or tiredness after a meal is because we have a nutrient deficiency, and most of the time it's a combination of 1, you don't have the proper acids to break down your food, and the second is that the food you're eating doesn't have the nutrients. All right, folks, that was another episode of the Health Made Simple Show. Hopefully that clears it up and gives you a little direction and a position that you can then continue to take more action, to continue to be the best version of yourself. Hopefully, my background, if you're watching this, has been pleasurable for you. I know it is for me. This is pretty good. I might have to do this again. And then, of course, if you did hear any chickens or ducks or dogs or whatever it may be, that's real noises, because that is exactly what is floating around here. All right, folks, I appreciate and love all of you. Keep doing the thing. Keep sharing it out. Keep sharing it out. Keep spreading the love. And, of course, continue to take deliberate action for your mind, your body, your overall wellness. God be awesome.